All right, how are we doing, everybody? Are we ready to take our beautiful state, kick out the far left lunatics, and make California golden again? I want to thank my fellow candidates, those who are here, those who aren't here. Chain, of course, Chad. I want to thank Chad for his service after all those years. Leo, Daniel Mercury, Lewis Herms. I want to thank everyone running for every office who puts themselves out there to fight for this state that we love. I want to thank the CRA for being the CRA. As President Reagan put it, conscience of our party, and in that spirit, to this particular group, I just want to tell a particular story that I always think of when I'm here. With the CRA, it goes back many years. When I was working at the Conservative Party in England, Margaret Thatcher, it was her 80th birthday, and she was being honoured in many different kinds of events, of course, for her great leadership. And I had the great honour of being invited to a dinner to honour her on the occasion of her 80th birthday. And by this time, as was well known, she wasn't making public speeches, she wasn't able to. We all know that she suffered in her later years from an illness that prevented her from speaking publicly, but she came to this dinner and we were told that she wouldn't be making a speech. I was seated next to her, actually. We had a very good conversation and we talked about many things. And then the then leader of the British Conservative Party stood up and made a speech. And it was a beautiful tribute, and that was supposed to be it. And Margaret Thatcher was not supposed to be making a speech, but then she was right next to me, just like Carlos did. And she pushed her seat out, and she stood up. She looked magnificent. And there's a very long silence, an uncomfortably long silence, and everyone was wondering what would happen, and we didn't want to see her, this great leader, humiliated in any way. And then it clicked in, and she made the most beautiful speech about her entire political career, what she'd been fighting for. It's an amazing speech, not long, but it was amazing. And I'll never forget the last lines of this speech. That's why I wanted you to hear this story. She said, "Liberty under the law." That's what it was all about. Me and President Reagan. And that's what she thought. Imagine that, just when she was summing up her career. That partnership between Margaret Thatcher and President Reagan. Liberty under the law. When I think about what's going on here in California, in this beautiful state that should be the home of liberty in the world. As I often say, California means to America what America means to the world. That's what we're fighting for now, today, for our liberty. Our liberty in this state has been crushed day after day by this violent regime, Newsom and his cronies. By the way, of course, it's an auspicious weekend here because we're having this convention. It's an auspicious weekend for another reason. It's the launch of Gavin Newsom's book tour. Gavin Newsom's book tour. He's traveling the
coloring book,
selling himself as our next president. Well, here's the good news. As your next governor, when I'm there cleaning up his mess, I will also be telling the whole country about his mess to make sure that he never gets anywhere near the White House. And that mess that we all know so well, there's no need to go into it in any great detail. I can just tell you this. You may have seen a few weeks ago was the first TV debate in this governor's race. And I was there against 6 Democrats. And there was a poll among the statewide TV audience after the debate. 2 of them didn't score anything at all. Betty Yee. Dear old Betty Yee, the most important thing you need to know about her is that she's for a gender-neutral Olympics. Betty Yee, 3%.
She literally meant that. Yeah.
Javier Becerra, who's telling us his claim to fame and the reason to make him governor is he did such a great job as Biden's HHS secretary during the pandemic. He did such a great job, even Biden couldn't remember his name. Javier Korea, he used to call him. Javier Becerra, 4%. The billionaire climate fanatic, Tom Steyer, who single-handedly has raised costs in California probably more than anyone else with his climate extremism. 7%. Matt Mahan, the new entrant into the race, the mayor of San Jose, who even his supporters describe as deserving of the governorship because he is, quote, the least insane Democrat. You think we can aim a bit higher than least insane? How about sanity in 4 months? Matt Mahan, 17%. Steve Hilton, 66% statewide vote. Why? It was nothing special. I just told the truth. The simple truth that after 16 years of one-party rule, we have the highest poverty, the highest unemployment, the highest cost of living in America, and it is time for change. And we are the people who are going to make that change happen. We're going to do it this year, we're going to do it together. Now, how are we going to do it? This is what I'm here to tell you. We have a choice to make. We have a choice to make. We have to get this right, because it is the best shot in at least 20 years. There's a majority for change in California. We need the right man, the right plan, and the right team. Why does Reagan mean so much to me personally? My parents fled communism in Hungary, so I could be born in a free country. But it was a country trapped in socialism in England. So when I see what's going on, you see it in New York with Mamdani, you see it here in California. These things, socialism, communism, it's not theoretical for me. It happened to my family. And I'm telling you right now that I am here to make sure that this beautiful state that I love does not turn into the country I left. I was raised in a working class family. My stepdad worked construction. My first job, project manager for a construction company. You need to focus on getting things done. Most of my career in business. I've started businesses, worked all over the world in business. Here in California, I started restaurants. I know how to get things done. I got to Oxford University, worked for Margaret Thatcher, and then later on helped elect a Prime Minister. Started my own businesses, as I mentioned. And then I went back into 10 Downing Street, worked alongside a Prime Minister to try and make change happen in government. I know how hard it is. I understand how difficult it is to fight the bureaucracy. You've got to know what you're doing. You've got to understand how the system works in order to fight that system. In 2012, we moved here to California. With my wife and my 2 sons, I taught at Stanford University. I started a business, a whole new career on Fox News. Anyone remember the next revolution? We're going to make the next revolution the California Revolution. It's going to happen this year, everybody. But then, after all my life working to make change happen, I wasn't satisfied just with talking about things on the television. I wanted to go back into getting things done, to making change happen. So years ago, I started an organization, Golden Together. I've traveled the state, listening to Californians, learning about what needs to change, developing the policy solutions on every area that we need to fix in California. I've done the work, I've got the detail, I'm ready to make it happen. We need a plan for change in California. I'll tell you what I'm fighting for. I'm fighting to make our state Cal-affordable. Cal-affordable again. To end the Democrats' climate insanity. So instead of $5 gas for 6 or 7 or 8, or whatever it's going to take before they finish with us, we are going to have $3 gas in California. I think Klaus heard me say this before, $3 gas. I remember one time I was speaking to the president on the phone, we were talking about something else, and then he just jumped in and said, Steve, I heard you talk about $3 gas. That's great. Keep saying that. You'll win the race just with that. And then he said, wait, what about 250? Try 250. That's the trouble. That's the trouble. I said, sir, $3 is hard enough. Maybe I'll get to 250 in the second term. We're going to have $3 gas when we get rid of the climate insanity, and we're going to get rid of the energy insanity. No more subsidies for solar. Kill the ridiculous windmills. We're going to use California natural gas to fire our electric grid and work in nuclear. And when we do that, we're going to cut your bills in half. We are going to cut the fraud and bloat and waste in the government so we can cut spending, and that means we can cut taxes. Your first 100 grand, no state income tax. We are going to end Gavin Newsom's outrageous $20 billion a year free healthcare for illegal immigrants. So we cut healthcare costs for Californians. And we're going to end their war on single-family homes and end the ridiculous regulations on building anything in California. So we restore the California dream of a home you can afford to buy. So our young people stay here and build their lives and their families. They don't have to leave and go to another state. That's how we make our state California. We're fighting for common sense and sanity in California. What are you talking about, biological boys and girls sports? How have we put up with this for so long? How have we put up with it for so long? I was there in Clovis last summer at the track and field championship, standing with Sophia Loren. She gave me this wristband, Save Girls Sports. I said I would wear it until I do it, until we save girls sports in California and save our society from the outrageous obscenity of boys and girls sports in operating spaces. And I've done the work to make it happen. I've spoken to I'm on my legal team. Governor Wilson's top lawyer. We figured out the plan. AB 1266. That's how this obscenity is going on in California. Passed in 2013. As governor, I will work with my Attorney General, Michael Gates, running with me for Attorney General, to overturn an outrageous law. There he is at the back. You'll hear about it. Common sense and sanity on crime. Of course it's right that we need to stop this ridiculous prison closure program that has sent tens of thousands of dangerous, violent criminals out into the community or into county jails that are so overfilled that no one gets sent to prison anymore for anything, basically catch and release. That's all going to end. More prisons, less crime. That is common sense, and we're going to make it happen in California. Common sense and sanity on homelessness. It's very simple. One, enforce the law. It is illegal to live and camp on the streets. It's always been illegal. If local leaders won't enforce the law, I will. I will use state law enforcement resources to get people off the streets. Number two, get them into mental health treatment. Number three, get them into addiction treatment. That is how we do it, but there's some changes we need to make. For example, right now in California, we are still living under this ridiculous IMD rule that means that any kind of reimbursement for mental health treatment from the federal government through Medicaid can only come to a mental health facility with 16 beds. Imagine if our hospitals were limited to 16 beds, how ridiculous that would be. That is going to change. The first Trump administration allowed a waiver to that program. This ridiculous Newsom regime hasn't applied for it. I will. We will end the scandal of homelessness in California when I'm governor. So we've got the clear plan, but we have to do it as a team. All my life, whether working in business or trying to make change happen in government, it's never one person. It's always a team. I'm doing this differently. No one running for governor has ever put together a team like I am doing right now. Running with me for Lieutenant Governor, the former leader of the State Senate for the Democrats who walked away from the insanity in her party, Gloria Romero for Lieutenant Governor. For the State Attorney General, Michael Gates, the fighter from Huntington Beach. By the way, there's a reason I launched my campaign in Huntington Beach. Just a few years ago, that council was 6-1 Democrat. My friend Tony Strickland put together a team to take back control. They won 4-3. The next election, they put together a team, a slate of 7 candidates. They weren't running away from President Trump, like so many people tell us to do in California. They called themselves the Magnificent Seven. And guess what? They all won. That's the spirit of fight that we need from Huntington Beach, from 6-1 Democrat to 7-0 Republican in 4 years. Michael Gates, the city attorney, who fought Gavin Newsom on housing mandates and voter ID and sanctuary state law. We will be a team along with Gloria, and then the fourth member of the Golden Ticket for now, Herb Morgan, running for state controller. Herb Morgan, that is an incredibly important position. A state controller has the power to audit every single organization that receives state money. That's how we find the fraud and the bloat and the waste. And we're not even waiting till we're elected. You know, a lot of people have asked me, Steve, when you're governor, how are you going to cut the spending and all the nonsense in the government? Are you going to bring in Doge? No, I'm not going to bring in Doge. I'm going to be Doge. That's my job. And we're already starting. Just a few weeks ago, Gloria and Michael and Herb and I, we launched Cal Doge. We are already exposing the fraud and the corruption. Our first fraud report, just the other week, $370 million that we found stolen from our taxes that should have been spent on substance abuse prevention, stolen to fund Democrat voter registration and political activity. That is going to end because we will arrive on day one with the fraud uncovered and with a plan to put a stop to it. That is the team that we are putting together. And you haven't even begun to see the shape of it. Just in a couple of weeks, I'll be announcing the first of the nominations I will make to the bureaucracy, to the administrative agencies that are going to turn things around. Because that's where the nonsense is coming from. The bloated, nanny state bureaucratic government that is strangling our freedom, our liberty in California. I'm going to kick out the bureaucrats and the climate fanatics and the woke ideologues from our Board of Education and all these other places. And we're going to put in common sense leaders. They're going to put the needs of Californians first. And by the time we get to election day, the team that is ready to go will be in place. No one's ever done it like this before, but we've got to do things differently in California this time. I'm sick of being told that we can't win in California. I know I can win. I know I can do it. I can see it. And when we're told that this is such a deep blue state and it can't happen, that's just not true. It is much more Republican than people think. It's much more Republican than they want you to think. They want us to be demoralized. They want us to give up. Here are the numbers. Consistently now for the last 2 years, there's a majority in California for change. 65%, 67% saying the state's going in the wrong direction. Now, I don't know who these people are. The 30% who thinks it's going in the right direction. Some combination of Newsoms and Pelosi's and Gettys, I guess. We don't need 100%. I'll take 67% vote who want change in California. When people say there are not enough votes in California to win as a Republican, tell them these numbers. The estimated turnout this November in the general election in California, 11.7 million votes. That's based on an average of the last two. So to win, I will need just over half of that, 5.9 million. When they tell you there aren't enough Republican votes in California, tell them this. Do you know how many votes President Trump got in 2024 in California? 6.1 million. If everybody who voted for President Trump in 2024 votes for me for governor this year, I will be elected governor with 200,000 votes to spare. It is all about the turnout. It is all about putting together a campaign that turns out our voters. I'm sick of being told, we've been told for so long, that the only way you win in California as a Republican is to water it down, be kind of Democrat-like, some kind of wishy-washy version. No way. As President Reagan said, bold colors, not pale pastels. That's how we win in California. A strong, clear, common sense, conservative message. And here's the other thing that's going to get us that big turnout. Too big to rig, as someone said. Too big to rig. This is how we're going to do it, because there's something going for us this November that we haven't had before, thanks to the work of so many people in this room and outside. We have voter ID on the ballot in November. Voter ID. That's being told we can't make it happen in California. And I say this as a proud new American. By the way, not just a new American citizen. I'm all in for this country and this state. Just so that you're aware, I have renounced my UK citizenship. I'm all in for this country. By the way, they're obviously short of cash in the UK. They charge you on the way out just to do the renunciation. £482. I don't know if that's going to help with their deficit. I'm all in for this. I'm sick of being told that we can't do it. When people say it's impossible for a Republican to win, if I may say as a new American, that is a thoroughly un-American attitude. Imagine that attitude when they look at the moon those years ago and say, oh no, it's too far, let's not bother. They saw something, those people, and they went for it. Imagine President Reagan. Well, the Soviet Empire's too big, too strong. He saw that it could be done, and he defeated that evil communist regime. My friend Charlie Kirk, my dear beloved friend Charlie, who endorsed me on day one, and I say this, I'm so proud of all the people who've endorsed me. I know they're with me on the way, on the road, up and down the state of the campaign trail, from Pastor Jack Hibbs to Kevin Kiley, Tom McClintock, Vivek Ramaswamy, and many more. And I used to say, I've got all those people behind me, and I also used to say, I've got Charlie Kirk behind me, and I'm telling you right now, I still have Charlie Kirk behind me. But Charlie Kirk saw something. When they say, oh, you'll never make the younger generation conservative. He saw that it was possible, and he did it. And look where we are now, the legacy he's left. I see something too. I see that this state can be restored to its glory. Imagine if those pioneers all those years ago, when they're heading from the East Coast over to the West, in search of something they knew that was magnificent there, they stop in Nebraska and say, no, that's not it. They keep going. They keep going, get to Nevada and still not it. No offense. They knew they were going to find something better. They kept going and they saw the magnificent Sierras. Did they stop and say, can't be done, those mountains are very high? No, they kept going. And they got to California and built the most incredible place in the history of the world. They turned the empty space into the world's most magnificent farmland and fertile soil. And yes, the farmers in the Central Valley and elsewhere in our state will get the water they need when I'm governor to grow the food. The food that will make America healthy again. And they built all these incredible industries up and down our state because they saw something and they went for it. And I see that now. And I see it very clearly that we can throw off the shackles of this far left ideological extremism that is crushing the soul and spirit of our state. That we can restore good, decent, honorable, efficient, effective, humble, and limited government in our state. I see a future where we restore California to its glory, where once again people are moving here to build their dreams, where once again California is the best place on earth to start and raise a family, to start and grow a business. That's what I see. This state restored to its glory, leading America, leading the world. That's the California I see. That's what I'm fighting for. I'm fighting for that vision, and I know that we can do it. We're going to fight for California. We are going to save California. We're going to make the California dream a reality again for everyone, and make this beautiful state that we love so much truly golden again. Thank you very much.